Whether you call it soccer or football, the World Cup starts today.
Welcome to Plain English, the podcast that goes at the right speed for English language learners. Listen now and read the transcript online at plainenglish.com. Now, here's Jeff, your host for today's episode.
Welcome to Plain English for Thursday, June 14th, 2018, the day many of you have been waiting for. And if you're in Brazil, you have been waiting for this day since that terrible night of August 7th, 2014. It is the beginning of the World Cup, the world's biggest sporting competition. And today's episode has some interesting World Cup facts to get you ready for the big tournament. The phrase we'll discuss at the end of the episode is licking your chops. Licking your chops. I have a bit of a dilemma here. First of all, I know that many of you come from big soccer-playing countries like Brazil and Spain and Mexico. And I also know that some people in the audience, some people, may not be sports fans. So I need to find a way to continue to talk about the World Cup in the podcast, but I don't want to bore the people who are just not into the beautiful game. So I have decided to do a third weekly episode during the World Cup only, and those episodes will be on Mondays starting June 25th. The regular episodes about other things will come out on Wednesdays and Fridays, just during the World Cup. That way, I figure the sports fans can get their fix of World Cup news, but everyone else can still enjoy two non-sports episodes a week. The only potential downside to this plan is that it's 50% more work every week for me and JR, the producer. I haven't told JR about the third weekly episode yet. All right, so today's episode is number 55, so you can find the transcript, including interactive translations, online at plainenglish.com/55, plainenglish.com/55. The biggest sporting event in the world starts today. 32 men's soccer teams representing nations from Iceland to Brazil and Japan to Mexico will start their month-long tournament to determine the best nation at the world's most popular sport. The World Cup kicks off with a match between host team Russia and Saudi Arabia at 6 o'clock this evening at Moscow's Luzhniki Stadium. That's mid-morning here in the Western Hemisphere. We will know the winner of the whole tournament on July 15th. Russia is hosting its first World Cup ever, and the matches will take place in 12 stadiums around the country. Most of the games will be in the western part of Russia, so they can be televised at more convenient times in Europe and in the Americas. There are some interesting storylines to watch. You may remember that in the last World Cup, Germany stunned host team Brazil 7-1 in the 2014 World Cup semifinals, and Brazil has been licking its chops in anticipation of the opportunity to make up for its embarrassing loss 4 years ago. Germany went on to beat Argentina 1-0 in the finals. Speaking of Argentina, Lionel Messi, one of the sport's biggest stars, has about every title and honor to his credit, but he has never been on a World Cup winning team. He'll try to end Argentina's 32-year World Cup drought this year. Mohamed Salah, who had to come out of the Champions League finals, may be healthy enough to play for Egypt. Some up-and-coming players are looking to use the sport's biggest stage as a launchpad for their own careers. Players like Hakim Ziyech of Morocco and Fedor Smolov of Russia are hoping that strong World Cup performances could help them land contracts in Europe next year. Here are a couple of general World Cup facts for you. The very first World Cup was held in Uruguay in 1930 and featured 13 teams. Host Uruguay beat Argentina in that first ever World Cup. The United States came in third. In the current format, 32 teams qualify for the tournament. In the years prior to the World Cup, teams compete for one of the 31 open spots in the tournament. The final spot is reserved for the host country. Once all 32 teams are determined, they are divided into 8 groups of 4 teams each. All teams play several games within their group in the first 2 weeks of the tournament, and the top 2 teams in each group advance to the next round of 16. After that, every game is a knockout game, meaning the winner advances to the next stage, until there is only one winner left standing. I said that is the current format because FIFA voted to expand the tournament to 48 teams, but you'll have to wait until 2026 to see that new format. Here's something that surprised me. The ball is different from year to year. The actual design and construction of the soccer ball can be radically different from tournament to tournament, even though in the modern era, all of them are made by Adidas. A typical soccer ball has 32 panels in the shapes of pentagons or hexagons, 5 or 6-sided shapes. But each World Cup has a specially designed ball with a distinct construction and a distinct look. The ball used in South Africa in 2010 had just 8 panels and was known for an unpredictable flight patterns that players generally hated. Then in 2014, in Brazil, they used a 6-panel ball, and the panels came together in unusual shapes. But they did extensive wind tunnel testing beforehand to make sure it wasn't as unpredictable as the ball was in 2010. This year, they're using a ball called the Telstar 18, which has 6 panels glued rather than stitched together. It's black and white and has a digitized design. Then finally, a quick fact you need to know if you're studying English and you want to talk about the World Cup. Some English-speaking countries call this game soccer, while others call it football. Here's where they say each. In the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa, they call it soccer, while in England, Scotland, and parts of Africa that speak English all say football. In Ireland, they seem split between football and soccer. Then, of course, the word in most other languages besides English is generally a translation or an adaptation of the word football. That's certainly true for Spanish and Portuguese, and appears to be true for most of Europe, Russia, and Asia. One outlier is Italy, where they call it calcio, which comes from the word kick. Today's episode is a little long, so I'll keep this section brief, but I did want to say hello to Chun Pin from Taiwan and Cesar from Spain. Both of them joined the email list last week and wrote in to say hi. If you would like to get the show announcement emails, which also feature links to English articles and a bonus vocabulary word twice a week, then go to plainenglish.com/mail, plainenglish.com/mail. Licking your chops is today's vocabulary word. Once you know what it means, it's really easy to use. I want you to picture in your head a dog or other meat-eating animal. I want you to picture that animal being really, really hungry. And I want you to pretend that animal is anticipating a big, delicious meal. That animal might lick its chops. It might stick its tongue out and lick its lips, getting ready to taste that first juicy bite. If your animal is a cat, it might lick its chops before chasing a mouse. Or if your animal is anything like the dogs I've had in the past, it might lick its chops over a dead turtle or a wet newspaper or something else equally unappealing. Anyway, that is licking your chops. You see cartoon characters do that a lot. Earlier on today's episode, you heard that Brazil is licking its chops for a chance to get back into World Cup action. And in that sense, it means they're ready to go. They are eagerly anticipating the battle. They want to forget what happened against Germany last time. They want to devour their first round opponent, Switzerland. Poor Switzerland. Brazil is going to take out all its pent-up rage on the nicest country on the planet. I'm writing this on a Saturday, and I have some pork chops and burgers for my new grill this weekend. As I start to smell the veggies and the meat cooking on the grill, I'll be licking my chops since I absolutely love cooking out. That's all for today. Thanks for joining me. Don't skip work to watch the games, or if you skip work, at least try to use a believable excuse. Don't forget to join us again on Monday for an episode about the latest disturbing trend in American schools. It's called Juul, and it's like a cool version of an e-cigarette. Then starting the week of June 25th, we'll have special World Cup episodes every Monday and normal episodes on Wednesday and Friday. Click subscribe on Apple Podcasts and follow on Spotify to make sure you catch all the future episodes. Thanks again for being in the audience.